soaring pyramids, intricate hieroglyphs, and temples dedicated to the gods. You're no stranger to these iconic images of Egypt, but in this video we will uncover the 15 scariest things that were considered normal in ancient Egypt and shed light on their cultural significance. Number 1. Royal marriages. One of the unusual customs of ancient Egypt was the practice of sibling marriages, particularly among pharaohs. While this may seem surprising today, it was deeply rooted in their society, fulfilling both religious and political roles. Pharaohs were viewed as living gods, believed to be direct descendants of divine beings. Their responsibility was to uphold Ma'at, the universal principle of balance and order. To preserve this sacred lineage, marriages between siblings were accepted to ensure that their children inherited divine status. Beyond religious beliefs, these marriages served as a strategic tool to keep power within the royal family. By limiting alliances outside the bloodline, the risk of internal conflicts and political rivalries was minimized. Family ties were seen as a way to secure loyalty, reduce the likelihood of rebellion, and maintain a stable government. To the ancient Egyptians, this practice was not considered controversial, but was essential for safeguarding the divine and political continuity of the kingdom. But how did the Egyptians prepare themselves for what they believed awaited beyond this life? Number 2. The art of preservation. In ancient Egypt, preparing for the next existence was considered essential, a sophisticated ritual reflecting the Egyptians' profound beliefs in their quest for eternal life. Performed by highly skilled, typically priests or elite officials, the procedure could extend up to 70 days. It began with ceremonial washing of the body, followed by the careful preparation and preservation of organs, which were treated and placed in sacred jars or respectfully repositioned within the body. The body was then treated with natron, a natural salt, for around 40 days to ensure preservation. Once dried, it was cleansed, anointed with oils, and wrapped meticulously in multiple layers of linen. Priests often placed protective amulets between the layers, while resin or gum sealed the wrappings, safeguarding the body for its eternal journey to the afterlife. Number 3. Ritual practices. The ancient Egyptians placed great importance on the afterlife, and funerary texts were at the heart of their burial rituals. These sacred writings, found on tomb walls, papyrus scrolls, and burial objects, served as guides and protections for the deceased during their dangerous journey through the afterlife. Over time, the Egyptians developed several types of funerary texts, including the pyramid texts, the coffin texts, and the famous Book of the Dead. Each collection contained spells, prayers, and rituals designed to help the dead overcome obstacles and reach eternal life. A key part of this journey was the judgment before the god Osiris. Success promised eternal paradise, while failure meant destruction. However, these texts went beyond judgment. They provided spells to open sealed gates, summon food and water, repel evil spirits, and granted the ability to adopt the forms of birds, snakes, or even crocodiles, allowing them to move freely through the unseen world. The funerary texts laid out how to survive the trials of the underworld, gain favor from the gods, and secure a place in the eternal afterlife. Navigating the afterlife wasn't their only concern. What about the dangers lurking right here in the world of the living? Stay tuned. Number 4. Symbolic acts against adversaries. Interestingly, curses were more than just superstition in ancient Egypt. They were an integral part of daily life and religious practice. From safeguarding the living to symbolically neutralizing enemies, these acts played a key role in preserving order and warding off misfortune. These practices were not confined to the priesthood. Priests, magicians, and even ordinary people regularly employed them, highlighting how deeply these beliefs were woven into Egyptian society. Typically, a ritual began with creating symbolic representations of harmful forces, such as clay or wax figures, pottery shards, or papyrus scrolls inscribed with names or images of those believed to bring harm. The targets were commonly rival rulers or wrongdoers. Once prepared, these objects were ritually broken to neutralize negative influences and actions. Additionally, so-called texts, inscriptions listing the names of individuals associated with such rituals, provide scholars with valuable insights into ancient Egyptian anxieties, rivalries, and power struggles. Through these rites, Egyptians sought to manage unseen forces they believed shaped their world. Speaking of protection, could loyalty extend so far that some willingly followed their leaders into the next life? Before we continue, I have a special 10-second request for all of you listening. If you can help me in any way, just press the notification bell and hit that subscribe button. It means the world. It really supports this channel. And if you do that for me, I promise my team and I will do everything we can to make this show even better for you. Deal? Number 5. Devotional transition rites. One of the most intriguing and discussed topics about ancient Egypt is the practice of individuals accompanying rulers beyond this world. While some archaeological findings suggest that such practices may have occurred, the actual scale and frequency remain uncertain, and scholars continue to debate the evidence. Discoveries from the early dynastic period have revealed servant tombs near pharaohs' burial sites. These graves contain individuals who appear to have been laid to rest at the same time as the ruler. Some researchers interpret this as a possible ritual intended to ensure that loyal attendants would accompany the pharaoh into the afterlife, while others suggest natural causes or voluntary participation. Notably, as Egypt transitioned into the Middle and New Kingdoms, written records provide little to no clear evidence of continuing such practices. While some religious texts and myths reference offerings or sacrificial motifs, many scholars view these as symbolic representations of spiritual beliefs rather than descriptions of literal events. Whether actual or symbolic, these traditions contributed to shaping Egyptian views on loyalty and the afterlife. Beyond devotion, the Egyptians also sought remedies for life's daily struggles, but how did their healers blur the line between medicine and magic? Number 6. Ancient Egyptian medicine. Remarkably, ancient Egyptian medicine was a sophisticated blend of science, beliefs, and ritual. Healers were highly respected and combined practical treatments with ceremonial practices rooted in their worldview. One of the more unusual aspects of their approach was the inclusion of human remains in certain remedies, a practice that may seem unsettling today but was entirely rational within their belief system. Central to this was the concept of sympathetic magic, the belief that the human body retained healing properties beyond passed away. It was thought that remains of those who had been powerful or gifted could pass their vitality to the living. As a result, substances derived from bones, tissues, and other elements were used in medicinal preparations. Powdered bone was thought to relieve headaches, while rendered fat was used to prepare healing balms for wounds and skin ailments. In some cases, preserved remains were finely processed and incorporated into remedies intended to strengthen the body and spirit. While these practices might seem shocking to us today, to the ancient Egyptians, they were vital tools to restore balance, ward off misfortune, and ensure well-being. Would you ever try a treatment if you knew it was made from human ingredients, like they did in ancient Egypt? Why, or why not? Let us know in the comments below. Number 7. Sacred animals. In ancient Egypt, animals were far more than part of nature. They were honored as living reflections of the gods. From fierce crocodiles and lions to graceful cats and birds, each creature was believed to carry a spark of the divine. These animals became the center of religious life, inspiring entire communities. Temples were built in their honor, where priests and villagers offered gifts, chanted prayers, and held elaborate ceremonies. The Apis bull, seen as the earthly companion of the god Ptah, held great importance in Memphis, while the crocodile god Sobek was revered in Crocodilopolis, a city where crocodiles captured both rivers and hearts. Yet, animals chosen for rituals were raised with care, adorned with gold and precious stones, and prepared through special rites believed to bring protection, prosperity, and good fortune. These honored creatures were carefully preserved and laid to rest in grand burial sites, often accompanied by many others. Archaeologists have uncovered vast underground chambers filled with countless animal remains, revealing just how deeply these practices were rooted in ancient Egyptian life. Number 8. Amulet. The Egyptians believed that magic could heal, protect, and bring about favorable changes in both the physical and spiritual worlds. Central to this belief were amulets, small objects thought to channel magical energy. This appeared in many forms, crafted from stone, clay, metal, or glass, often depicting gods, sacred animals, or powerful symbols. Each amulet was believed to hold a specific power. For example, the Wajid amulet was linked to protection and healing, while the Jed symbol represented stability and endurance. Some were worn by people from all walks of life, used to attract good fortune, ward off harmful forces, and resolve personal challenges, including illnesses and the dangers associated with childbirth. They were also placed between the linen wrappings of mummies, or inside tombs, to ensure protection for the deceased in the afterlife. The creation of these objects was considered a sacred craft. Skilled artisans, often well-versed in religious rituals, would chant prayers and recite incantations during the process. It was more than just an ornament. It was regarded as a magical tool, safeguarding both the living and the dead. And when it came to those who were physically unique, how did society view them? As outcasts or something far more honored? Number 9. Dwarfs. In ancient Egypt, dwarves held a surprisingly respected position in society. Unlike in many other cultures of the time, their distinctive appearance was often viewed as a special mark, associated with divine favor rather than limitation. Many dwarves served in prestigious roles within royal courts and the households of pharaohs, working as skilled artisans, jewelers, performers, and participants in religious rituals. Their talents were highly valued, and they were often regarded as trusted members of elite circles. A well-known example is Seneb, a dwarf who lived during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. He held the title of Chief of Dwarfs and was honored with a remarkable statue showing him alongside his wife and children, a sign of his elevated social standing. Artistic depictions in tombs and temples regularly show dwarfs engaged in daily life, from crafting to participating in ceremonies, clearly reflecting their active role in society. This status was also closely tied to religion. Dwarfs were symbolically connected to deities like Bez and Ptah, who were often portrayed with similar features. Bez in particular was known as a guardian of households and childbirth, further enhancing the reverence given to dwarfs in Egyptian culture. Still, nothing shaped Egyptian life more profoundly than one mighty force. What role did the Nile River play in everything from survival to spirituality? Number 10. The Nile River. The Nile River was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt, shaping its economy, daily life, and beliefs. It provided essential resources and set the rhythm for society. Most importantly, the Nile's annual floods were crucial for agriculture. Every year, the floodwaters deposited nutrient-rich silt along the riverbanks, transforming barren land into fertile farmland. This allowed Egyptians to cultivate important crops such as wheat, barley, and flax. Since farming was the foundation of the economy, the predictable flood cycle enabled farmers to develop advanced techniques that helped sustain one of the longest-lasting civilizations in history. Beyond farming, the Nile served as Egypt's main artery for transportation and trade. Goods and people moved easily along its waters, connecting distant cities and villages. Wooden boats and papyrus rafts carried everything from stone and timber to food, textiles, and pottery, fueling both economic growth and cultural exchange. The Nile also held deep significance. It was seen as a divine gift, personified by the god Hapi, who was believed to bring the life-giving floods. Countless religious rituals, festivals, and ceremonies were centered around the river, reinforcing its sacred role in Egyptian society. And while the Nile gave life, what about the lives believed to continue serving in the afterlife? How far did this belief go? Stay tuned. Number 11. Entourage Offering. Curiously, one of the most debated and complex customs in ancient Egypt involved the ritual of accompanying servants into the afterlife, a practice rooted deeply in the Egyptians' beliefs about eternal life. This tradition was especially associated with the early dynastic period, between 3100 and 2686 years before the Common Era, before gradually declining over time. These rites were primarily reserved for the funerals of pharaohs and high-ranking elites who believed that loyal attendants and sometimes even treasured animals would continue serving them beyond death. Archaeological findings have revealed numerous tombs containing human remains from this era, suggesting the importance of this belief system. Interestingly, great care was taken during these ceremonies to preserve the appearance of those involved, as maintaining the integrity of the body was considered vital for the afterlife. As Egyptian society evolved, this practice faded and was replaced by the use of asabti, small, intricately carved statues made of stone, wood, or faience. These symbolic figures, inscribed with sacred texts, were believed to magically serve the deceased in the afterworld without the need for real-life attendance. Number 12. Dreams and Omens. Curiously, ancient Egyptians believed that dreams and supernatural signs were far more than coincidences. They were essential tools for understanding the will of the gods. In fact, these beliefs played a central role in shaping everyday life, influencing personal choices, political decisions, and even religious rituals. Messages received during sleep were thought to reveal prophecies, warnings, or guidance for the future. Consequently, dream interpretation became a highly valued skill, practiced across all levels of society, from ordinary villagers to priests and even pharaohs themselves. Specialists were responsible for decoding the symbolic language of dreams and advising individuals on how to respond to these celestial messages. This practice is well documented in ancient texts such as the Chester Beatty Papyrus, which records numerous dreams and their interpretations. These writings give us a glimpse into the concerns of Egyptian society, covering topics like health, family, politics, and religious life. Yet dreams were not the only signs the Egyptians relied on. Celestial movements, unusual weather, or the behavior of animals were also seen as messages from the gods. These omens were carefully analyzed by priests and advisors, who used them to guide decisions on farming, warfare, and ceremonial activities. To the ancient Egyptians, the world was full of signs, if one only knew how to read them. Have you ever had a dream or seen a strange sign that made you change a decision in real life? What happened? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and follow the channel to discover more interesting things. Number 13. Consumption of divine essence. Surprisingly, the topic of acts of survival in ancient Egypt has long stirred debate among historians and archaeologists. Scattered evidence has suggested it may have occurred, though whether it was a rare survival tactic, part of a symbolic ritual, or tied to broader cultural practices remains uncertain. One of the most discussed references is the so-called cannibal hymn found within the pyramid texts in the tomb of Pharaoh Unas. This ancient text describes the king partaking in divine offerings to absorb the powers of the gods. However, most scholars today interpret this as symbolic rather than literal, reflecting the king's desire to attain immortality and godlike strength. Archaeological discoveries have also uncovered human remains with marks of physical trauma. Some researchers have speculated about possible ritual acts or survival practices during times of famine, though no definitive conclusion has been reached. Others suggest these traces may stem from funerary customs or episodes of violence unrelated to consumption. To this day, the evidence remains inconclusive, leaving scholars cautious. Number 14. Dental care. Dental care held a surprisingly important role in ancient Egypt. Despite the limitations of their time, Egyptians showed an advanced understanding of oral health, offering valuable insights into their daily life and medical knowledge. A carbohydrate-rich diet centered on bread and beer, combined with grit and sand from basic milling techniques, led to common dental issues such as tooth decay, gum infections, and severe tooth wear. Yet, Egyptians actively addressed these problems. Ancient medical texts, including the Ebers Papyrus and the Edwin Smith Papyrus, describe remedies like honey and medicinal herbs for pain relief, as well as procedures for tooth removal and abscess treatment. Archaeological evidence supports these practices. Items such as bronze forceps and toothpicks made from bone or ivory show that Egyptians performed hands-on dental procedures. Beyond treating dental diseases, they also practiced preventive care. Chewing sticks, frayed at one end, served as early toothbrushes, and natron, a natural salt, was used much like toothpaste. For the Egyptians, oral health was more than just comfort. It was part of a larger belief in maintaining balance and well-being. Number 15. Ancestor Worship. In ancient Egypt, the connection between this world and the next was deeply personal and ever-present. At the heart of this belief system was what scholars often call the cult of the ancestors, centered on maintaining harmony between those who had moved on and those still living. It was widely believed that those who had transitioned to the next realm continued to exist in a place known as the Beautiful West, or the Fields of Ayaru, a reflection of the familiar world. Yet, their well-being relied on the actions of those they left behind. To ensure peace and prosperity on both sides, families regularly performed special rituals, presented offerings of food, drink, and treasured goods, and recited sacred words believed to reach across realms. Tombs and temples were far more than architectural wonders. They served as carefully designed portals where two worlds could meet. Adorned with scenes of daily life, symbolic artwork, and depictions of a flourishing next world, these places became the setting for ongoing exchanges between families and their ancestors. Through yearly festivals and routine ceremonies, these practices kept the connection strong, fostering balance, protection, and lasting harmony. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that appears on your screen right now. I'm sure you'll love this content. Comment below about the next topic you'd like to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.